Good morning. Hello, everyone. My name is Chandrasekhar, and as promised, I'm here today live on Facebook at the Roots College page. And today we are going to discuss about management education. So we'll take a few minutes and let's get comfortable and then get started. So we'll just hold on for a couple of minutes and then get started. It's 11 o'clock on my clock, and maybe in the next 1 or 2 minutes we'll get started. And as I said, we are going to discuss today about management and management education. So, for those of you who would like to ask questions, share comments, and tell us about whatever doubts you have, this is the right time and the right place for having a conversation. So, as you get ready to discuss, I will just hold on for a couple of minutes and then we get started. Good morning, Ms. Deepa. Thank you for joining. So we are just waiting for a few more people to get online, and then we can get started. I'm sure today will be a little late because people have actually finished watching our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, give this address to the nation, and now I think they will all now come back online and come to Facebook, the Roots College page, and then we can get started. Mr. Padala, good morning. Hello. Just giving a few minutes for people to come online and we can start the conversation today. So, those of you who have already joined, I see around 6 of you there. Just say hi, so at least I'll have an idea about who all are online, and we can just start building up as we go along. All right, then. So we get started. It's 11:02, and here we are this Tuesday morning at the Roots College Facebook page, and we are here to discuss about management education and how management education has changed in the past, and how today, as we speak along, management is kind of a sought after career option for young students or young individuals. So we are here. Good morning, Anthony Francis. Good morning to others who are already online. And let me tell you in brief as to what are we going to discuss today. First of all, see, management and management education is a vast subject, and it's not right for us to sum up the conversation over a 1 hour or a little more on a Facebook live session. Having said that, we can discuss about what are the opportunities available and how these opportunities changed over the past. What we will not get into is understanding what involves these courses and what kind of courses are offered in the market, because I assume that information is already available on the internet. And today, if there is one thing which is available free and wide, is information. Anything we want to understand or learn is available at a click of the button. So we are not going to waste precious time of each one of you to discuss about which course is the right course for pursuing MBA or management, which college is good, or what do I have to do to get into one of these colleges. I think that information is pretty much available over the internet. What we are going to discuss here is one, what are the opportunities for people who would like to get into management as a discipline, as a subject, if they can get into that, and how they can enhance their career further. And two, what kind of opportunities are going to come up in the future if you are a management graduate. Because two things are equally important. One, to get in, and two, by the time you get out, what can be the possible opportunities available for us. So that's predominantly the focus and the scope of this conversation today. And I strongly request all of you who are watching to kind of put in your comments, put in your questions, because this subject is more of a discussion. This subject is more of a conversation, and this subject will get enhanced if we all share our thought processes. So before we get started, a little bit about me and my background as to why am I here to talk to you all about management education. Well, my name is Chandrasekhar, and I am the CEO for Jain Group of Institutions Schools, and incidentally also happen to be the alumni of Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow, and I also had a program at IIM Ahmedabad. So I went to that business school in the past, and I've been a management graduate all through. I graduated from Bangalore University, BBM, and from there on went on to do my postgraduate diploma in management, as they call, an equivalent to an MBA today. So that's a little bit brief about me, and I'm working in the education space for the last 17 years, and my day job involves running, managing and establishing educational institutions, predominantly the K-12 schools across India. So with that background, let's get started with management. The theoretical definition of management talks about the skill or the set of skills involved in managing people towards a common objective. When I say towards a common objective, the business objective is what I am referring to, because business management as a discipline focuses on the bottom line. Today we are talking about multiple bottom lines, the triple bottom lines. One is of the profit, then the environment, and third is the innovation. But the point here is business management focuses on how can the business become profitable. And management, because it is a discipline which involves men and material and resources, how do we manage all of them in such a manner where you make your business profitable? So that's predominantly the definition, the theoretical definition of management in the business context. Of course, it's a vast discipline, and it can be applied to different other areas. For example, not-for-profits also need management in their sector or in their space. Even people who are involved in sports, people who are in, so basically any place where you have people involved and people as a resource, management becomes that much more necessary. That also brings us to an interesting point, and that is the relevance of management in almost all these spaces. Management is relevant for every space where people are treated as a resource. And if you can imagine, almost every space needs people, which we call as intellectual capital, and they are employed to make their objective come true or come into reality. So with that perspective, today the burning issue for us to converse or to have a conversation is, if I want to pursue management from the student's point of view, if I want to get into management, is there a scope? Is it the right choice for me to get into management? And what next? So we will be focusing on these three questions. One, is management right for me? Two, what are the opportunities available for me in management? And three, going forward, because we live in a VUCA world, an uncertain world, going forward, how is management going to change and where will I be fitting in? So let's take the first question. Is management right for me? See, let me tell you this. If you go historically, management is both an art and a science. And when you say art and a science, it employs scientific principles without disturbing the personal traits of the individual. And in that context, we say it's an art as well as it's a science. Now, if you are asking the question, is management the right discipline for me? My question indirectly to you or in turn to you would be, do you get excited in working along with people? Do you get excited and energized when you want to accomplish a common objective together with people? Do you get excited in treading the uncertain waters and trying to apply principles and knowledge and information and take decisions on the go and then achieve a common destination? Then yes, management is one of the good options. Now let me go back to my story, my life. Why did I chose management and how management has helped me do what I do currently? So this was way back in the year 2000 when I had a personal ambition to get into medicine, but for certain reasons I could not get into medicine because I did not get the college and the rank which I wanted, so I could not get there. And this was one of the aspiration of my dad, that I become a doctor, but somehow I could not do that. But nevertheless, when I sat down and I started thinking about what next, now that I cannot become a doctor because of this reason, I should be focusing on something. Then I kind of dug up deeper into myself and asked these questions with the help of my cousin, who incidentally was kind of an inspiration for me at that point in time. So the question which we both together answered was, what's the ultimate thing which you want to do by doing medicine? So the idea was, I want to serve people, because as a doctor you can help people become better version of themselves physically, that is health wise. So I said, no, I want to serve people and I want to help people. So then we started looking at parallels. Are there any other opportunities where you can help people and still achieve your objective? And when we went through that question, we came up with this answer: yes, management is one such area or avenue. Way back in 2000, remember that, we thought that yes, management is one such area where you can help people become a better version of themselves. Not physically maybe, but financially, intellectually, emotionally, all these areas, and even socially, they can be a better version of themselves. That's when I pinned down on this particular discipline of management, and I said, yeah, this is a good option for me, and I will put my energy and focus on management as a discipline. And I took up the application form, and then the rest is history, as they say, where I went in to apply for the Bangalore University Jain College BBA course. Now, I know that today majority of us look at entrepreneurship as a possible option for our career. Now let's stop there for a while and look at how management as a discipline fits into entrepreneurship. Now, what is the meaning of entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is the ability to spot an opportunity and to make it commercially viable, or to convert that opportunity to commercial viability and then make it a sustainable model over a period of time. Now let's understand it. It's a very simple definition with three parts. One, you sense the opportunity. Two, you convert that opportunity into a commercial viability. And three, you bring in sustainability to that opportunity. So as simple as this. One, you spot the opportunity. Two, you convert the opportunity to viability commercially. And three, you make that sustainable over a period of time. So if you make a business or make a trade one time and you make a profit, that is not called entrepreneurship. That's only two parts of that definition satisfied. You saw an opportunity, you made it a commercial viability. But what the sustainability part did not come in. But then, if you bring in all the three, is when entrepreneurship comes. Now, since we are discussing management education, does management help you to bring in all the three? Yes. And why do I say yes? Is management, with the principles which it teaches you, the principles of management, it helps you spot opportunities, because it involves planning, it involves organizing, it involves delegating, it involves reporting. So these are the techniques and tools you need to understand the possible opportunities available in the market. So let me give you an example. Now, if you go and pick up a chart at a nearby chart bhandar and you enjoy that chart in the evening for a few minutes, if you are inclined or educated by management or a trained manager, your focus somehow invariably will go to the point as to what this guy needs to do to put this delicious chart on my plate. That's the mindset with which you will view that particular person while you are enjoying the chart. Why do you have to do that? Because you are trained, you are tuned to look at these nuances of that gentleman who is making the business on you. That, I feel, is the management mindset. You will start looking at the kind of planning he will be doing, the kind of employees he is employing, the kind of delegation he is putting in, and the application, and trying to bring that money from your pocket for that particular chart. If this excites you, if business excites you, if entrepreneurship excites you, then management can be considered as one of the fundamental blocks which you need to accomplish to get there. And I'm not saying that all successful entrepreneurs are trained managers. No. What I'm saying is, if you want to view entrepreneurship as a possible career opportunity for you, if you want to become an entrepreneur, or if you nourish the dream of becoming an entrepreneur, then management is definitely one of that opportunity or one of the starting points. Now, second, apart from entrepreneurship, if you look at making yourself a leader, a business leader, a great thinker, or a logical person who can create solutions to issues or challenges which encounter daily businesses, there too management can be considered as a good option. Now let's give an example. And this is my favorite story, and I want to tell this as many times as I want to, and I am going to share that right now. I am going to tell you the story not with an intention of selling you management, but with an intention of making you look at what kind of a mindset you should have to pursue managerial education. Now, this is a kind of a story which they claim to be the story of the Mahindras. All of us are aware of Mahindra Scorpio and how the Scorpio was designed and built with utmost secrecy back then when it was about to be launched. Now, it so happened, it seems, that Mahindras put together a set of engineers, a set of designers, a set of automobile experts, and then they tried to build this particular beauty or the car. Now, when they were in the process of doing this, as I said, it was kept with utmost secrecy. So nobody knew where it was being designed, who were involved, and how much investment and what kind of planning is going behind bringing this out. Finally, the day arrived when that model was supposed to be launched, and all the big wigs who were involved are waiting for that beauty to drive out of that place where it was being designed. Now, as they brought it out to the main entrance and it was about to be driven out, there came a question. The question was, the beam which was covering the door, or which was holding the door, was 2 to 3 inches below than the permissible limits, which means the Scorpio was not able to be driven out in a smooth way. Now, this was a big impediment in their plan. Now, they don't know what to do right now because the launch is yet to happen in the next few minutes. The press, the media, the attention is all there waiting, and now the Scorpio, the first and the most awaited model, is yet to be launched to the public, and they have no clue as to what they have to do. Now, when I ask this question in my class, when I talk to students, I ask them what are the opportunities or options, and people easily come up with these possible solutions. They say, sir, you got to break that particular beam or dismantle the door and then you have to pull it out. That means you are destroying that particular thing at the cost of your car. Or you got to find another way to bring the car out, which is again not possible. So these are a couple of options which comes my way, and people say that we need to do this. But in effect, one of the managers, one of the person who was involved in the team came up with this solution. And the solution he came up with as simple as this. He said, give me a minute and we are going to get this car out. And what he did, you'll be surprised. Listen to this carefully. What he did was he just deflated the tires of the vehicle. And once the deflation was done, he removed the air from the tires. It came down by a couple of inches, and that was just enough for Scorpio to be pulled out from that place, and then they inflated it again, and then they took it away for the mega launch. Now, what do we understand from this? What do we understand from this is the simple thing that this is the problem solving mindset. Yes, there are issues, there are challenges, there are complications. We are not saying you that we will insulate the world without complications. No, that's not going to happen. But what can happen is when we have complications, when we have issues, when we have challenges, how are we able to maneuver through that, and how are we able to cope up through that? That is the mindset issue. Some of us may discount it and say, oh, well, it's a common sense issue. But I ask, if it was a common sense issue, then why was it not commonly found by people? I'm sure at least a few of you who were listening to this problem when I was narrating the story, you were thinking or wondering, what can be the possible solution? Because I am live, I had to make it short, so I immediately came to the solution. Otherwise, it would have been fun to actually go around the class and ask for possible solutions. And in my past experience, not easy to get the solution. So the mindset becomes very, very, very important. Supriya, good morning. Thank you for joining. So, I was talking about how management plays an important role in creating the problem solving mindset. So if you have an aspiration to become an entrepreneur or to take the entrepreneurial journey, management is definitely one of the possible options to begin with. 2, getting the problem solving mindset, management is the answer. Because when you get the mindset to problem solve or solve the problems, you have a tool which is universal. You can apply it anywhere and everywhere. And that becomes that much more critical and vital for your success. So first question, is management for me? I think these are the answers. If you want to have the mindset to solve problems, then management is surely for you. And 2, if you nurture a managerial or an entrepreneurial spirit in you, then management is definitely the answer. Of course, as I said at the beginning in my story, serving people also is possible to a great extent by being a good manager. People say be leaders, don't be managers, but let me tell you a secret. Even to be a great leader, you need to be a manager first. Leadership comes next, management comes first. That's my personal opinion. Now, the second part of the session where we ask the question as to what does management entail? Currently, if I get into management, what can happen? What will happen? As I said, as much as we will not be discussing about different institutions, different colleges, and different courses which are available in the country or in the world for that matter, we will discuss about what is in store in management. Broadly, the management institutes in the country today are categorized into 3 tiers or 3 levels. Level 1 is the top premier institutions who we identify them as IIMs, or in Hyderabad we have ISB, and just yesterday I came across another institute which has come up in Gurgaon. Some 300 crores has been contributed by the top people in the world to build that B school. I think it's called Union Business School, Masters Union Business School, if I'm not wrong. You can always check it out on internet. So there are a lot of these schools which are coming up and have come up, apart from the Ivy League, the Harvard Business School or the Kellogg, Wharton, and all these schools. Then we have the tier 2, which are the next rung of business schools in the market, and there are quite a many of them in Hyderabad, and there are quite a many of them across the country and in the world. There are some in the Singapore, in Dubai, and as well as in India, Mumbai, Lucknow, Delhi, Hyderabad, Bangalore, all these places. Then you have all the other tier 3, where every institute, every university offers an MBA program or a BBA program in the city. Osmania University also offers a lot of programs. The Andhra University also offers a lot of programs. I studied in a Bangalore University college. So there are a lot of these people. But all of these talk to you about 3 things: their intensity and their genuinity may vary, but a good MBA or a management program, in my personal opinion, will include 3 parts. The first part is to give the student a dipstick into the world of reality. Let me tell you this: management is not fictional. Management is not virtual. When I say virtual, don't mistake me as online and offline. Management is real. And when I say real, you need to put your ears to the ground and your feet firmly on the ground to know what is happening at the grassroots. So the first thing a management program should and will do is to put you on the ground. It will make you in touch with the reality, maybe around you or away from you, depends on where your interest lies. For example, if you are opting for a course in international business, of course you need to understand what's happening in Hong Kong or in China or in South Africa or in South America. But if you're looking at HR management as your specialization, human resource, then of course you will understand the ground reality around you. So management will first put you in touch with reality. That's the first part of it. The second part of it is what I call as the eagle vision, the macro picture. Management invariably gives you the macro picture. The macro picture, in other words, is normally referred as the eagle vision, where you get to see the overall picture at a 25,000 feet height. So you will understand how things are, because let me make this clear. Every department, every vertical in the business or in an organization are interconnected. An organization in itself is an organism with interconnections. Just like how we have our body, which is a fine combination and connection of different systems working in collaboration with each other, even the organization works finely in collaboration with one another. And to understand this, it's very important for us to have the eagle vision, that is the 25,000 feet view of the reality around us. So that's the second aspect of management. First being in touch with reality, second being an eagle vision or a 25,000 feet view of things, because if you do something in one place, it will have its consequences somewhere else, and as a manager you need to be aware of that. It's like, you're making a painting. If you are trying to do too much focus on one part of the painting, then when you put it back on the wall, you can easily spot that there has been a lot of attention to one aspect while the other aspect has been neglected or ignored, and together they may not appear as good as you would have expected it to appear. So that's the second aspect of management education. And the third aspect, management makes you adaptable. Because let me tell you this is one thing which I have realized. As much as you can be prepared for any contingency or any situation, the reality will be different when you face it. Let me explain this with an example. The technology of this world, the innovation in this world, the scientific community of this world together are put to test today as we talk of COVID-19. Reality was, we need a virus, an antivirus to cure. The macro view is, we can look at the scenario around us, you can look at the scenario globally, and we will be coming up with possible collaborations and possible iterations to come out with a solution. But if you fail to adapt, your reality view or your 25,000 view may not give you any result. So management makes you an adaptable person. That is my personal experience. In our own case today, it took us less than 3 to 4 days to move our work online. But those 3 to 4 days was all about adaptability. March 22nd, the Janata curfew was announced. 24th, the was declared, and the schools were told that up to 31st, you have to shut down, and from 31st we will start off, or from 1st of April or 2nd of April you can start off your classes. That was the initial conversation. And then the Prime Minister comes online and says that there is a 3-week lockdown, which incidentally will end on April 14th. But today morning we saw that it is now extended up to 3rd of May. That means, without we realizing, in a flash of a second, the entire month of April is wiped off the calendar. And when the wiping off is done, make no mistake, April is one of the most busiest months in the cycle, in the life cycle of a student. There are examinations, there are results, there are new admissions, there are graduations, and there is progression to the next level. Now, all of this, in fact, I was telling to a friend yesterday when I was speaking on Instagram, the live session, I said, it's like you're preparing all your year to play that final, and the day the final match is supposed to be played, it's a complete washout because of the rains. It's just like that. And worse, our team, whether it is teachers or staff members and even students and parents, are not prepared to handle that, because it has come as a sudden thing, and then you need to make those changes immediately, instantaneously, to adapt yourself and to make that. And that comes through management. So that's what I said. A good management program should have this as an integral part of their thing. First is the ground reality, that is in touch with reality at the base level, or I say the mouse view and the eagle view. And third is adaptability. You need to look at how do you look at the mouse view, or when do you look at the mouse view, and when do you look at the eagle view. You need to have that particular switch over, and that switch should be working in you. So that's where it becomes very, very, very important. So a good management program will focus on all these three things. The mouse view, that is in touch with reality, grounded, grassroots. Eagle view, 25,000 feet view, the macro view of the entire thing, the interconnections between two different verticals or departments. And three, the adaptability as to when to subscribe to this and when to subscribe to that. In our case, as I said in the example, it took us 3 to 4 days to move online, because that was the only way possible to stay connected with people, to stay in touch with our stakeholders, and to deliver value to them. So these are the things. Now the last part. The last part is, what is the future? Okay, I will take up management. I want to be an entrepreneur, or I want to have the problem solving mindset, and I will learn this micro view, that is the mouse view, and the macro view, which is the eagle view, and I'll also learn the adaptable techniques or the tools to become adaptable. And then what next? Now that's a very, very interesting question. And all of us have come across this, and we are aware we live in a very, very uncertain world. I said this in the beginning, it's a VUCA world today. Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. But we are all in this world. So what next? Suppose you are a certified management graduate. Make no mistake, nobody is going to roll the red carpet just because you are a certified management graduate and then put you on the high chair on the 11th floor in the office and ask you to take decisions which are life changing. That's not going to happen on the day one. So if you think the minute I get a management degree, I'm going to be there, let me break that dream for you. That's not going to happen. Because the world is changing, and the world needs people who can solve the issues by perceiving it even before it appears. So, as a management graduate, what you are capable of is you have the potential to solve the problems of the world as the world is in an uncertain mode. However, you still need to deliver. If you don't deliver, you will never be taken for granted by people and said, okay, here is a certified management graduate and let's give him the charge and let's wait for his decisions. That's not going to happen. Then what is going to happen? What's going to happen is you will be sought after. You will be found by a lot of people who think and who recognize that you have the potential. Who are these people? Let's name a few sectors. 1. Anybody who is interested in analysis, who is interested in scenario planning, who is interested in projections, will find a management guy first, or a girl. The reason is because you have the problem solving mindset as a management graduate, and then you can perceive reality at the ground level as well as at the top level. And that's the reason these people who need solutions will come to you. For example, you all know about the big four. We call them. Some of them are celebrated, some of them are infamous. The KPMGs or the McKinseys or the Ernst & Young or PricewaterhouseCoopers consultancy firms. These are the people who look for management graduates because they can do the scenario planning or the projections or the future forecasting. So that's one option. That is where you will be relevant. 2, the kind of people who look for you, that is your career opportunities, would be in businesses, not necessarily entrepreneurial, but businesses where you can do a job. Join others' business. Job, join others' business, where you can be the person who can take a part of their bigger problem and solve it. and you get remunerated, you get recognized, and you get rewarded for that particular part. And let me tell you this, when you start solving a part of the problem, that's when you grow to solve the entire problem. Like for example, when I started in my organization, it's 17th year now. I am working with Jain Group of Institutions. When I started, I was handling security and housekeeping. Today, I'm the Chief Executive Officer. Right through, the common cord which connects me is management. So you can make your guess as to how things progress. Right? So that's an option. So start looking, or businesses will start looking for you, and then they will get you there to solve their part of the problem, and eventually maybe if you prove yourself, bigger problem or the entire problem. That's how it is. That's the second thing. The third, you will be sought after by a lot of not-for-profits, consultancy firms, or for that matter, financial agencies or financial management firms or financial advisory firms, because you are a person who can crunch numbers. And let me tell you, numbers are very important, because statistics can make you believe anything. And if you can understand how to interpret data and showcase that data, you are in a better place to present your views that much more powerfully. For example, let me quote this. I work with this NGO, I consult them, I try to support them. This is into rabies elimination. Now, when I came across rabies, frankly speaking, I was not very aware of this disease. And I thought, okay, it's a dog bite, and why will I get a dog bite, and it's not going to affect me and all that. But when I started looking up to the World Health Organization reports, I understood and I came to the reality that it is indeed a disease which existed for thousands of years before, and even today we don't have a cure. Now, what was more heartening for me was 60,000 deaths happen in the world in a year. And out of the 60,000 deaths, 29,000 deaths happen in India alone. And more importantly, out of these 29,000 deaths, close to 65% of these deaths happen in children below 14 years. Now that's a piece of statistics which is directly touching my heart, because I work with school children. And I know the value of a life of a child, because there is the whole life ahead of that boy or girl when they go out of the school, because at 15 they are ready to conquer the world. Now, if for no fault of theirs, just a dog bite, and they have to succumb to death, how fair is that? So I picked up that part of the statistics and I converted it into math, and I divided the number of seconds we have in a day, and it came up to 9 minutes. Every 9 minutes there is a death in the world due to rabies. Now tell me, if I make my speech or if I make my statement by saying every 9 minutes there is a death caused due to rabies somewhere in the world, would you be surprised? Will you not listen to me for that second? That's the power of statistics. Now, who can bring this connecting the dots philosophy? The management. Because you are able to see the big picture and you are able to see the minute picture and connect both. So, all these agencies can come to you if you can give them that perspective. So, I told you about 3 different options. There are many, but I want to talk about only 3. The reason is the time. We can't keep going on. As I said at the beginning, we cannot discuss the whole world of management under one roof. But having said that, these are different opportunities which are available. I've given you a broader picture about the scope of management, and today a lot of these politicians are also requesting managerial support. You must have heard of MLAs and MPs who are taking interns who are graduates in management, who can crunch numbers, who can provide perspective, who can look at the big picture, who can stay connected to the ground, help them stay connected to their constituencies. All of this is possible if you can understand the sense of management. So with this, I want to stop here and give you a kind of a pause. If you can think about it and put some questions, because we have another 15 minutes left in this conversation, and I would like to spend that 15 minutes taking questions and comments. Thank you for listening. I can see you all watching. If you have any questions or any comments, do share, because this is for the interest of all. So from each other we can all learn. As you write your questions, I want to share this another interesting update which I heard from a friend of mine this morning. Now this guy was a friend with me in Bangalore when we were studying together. We were in the same college, and eventually I moved out of Bangalore, working across different parts of the country, and he is still in Bangalore. Today morning he puts up a post on Facebook, and that post says that he was yesterday at the Chief Minister's war room for COVID-19. So it was kind of surprising for me, and I kind of looked at the details of the post, and it so happens that he is the active team member of the Chief Minister of Karnataka's war room to fight COVID-19. What's his background? He was a BBA graduate with me, went on to do his MBA, and he has his own businesses, and he has a technological handle with his group of co-founders and friends where they are able to sense the kind of population density through GPS, and with which they are able to disperse these patrol teams on the ground to go to those localities or areas where they can enforce social distancing. Now, he had this, he used to use it for a different purpose, but see the adaptability. He had a solution, he made it adaptable to suit the present scenario. Never before, when he was building this software or this application, he imagined that it can be used for COVID-19 social distancing. But he had this, and finally he made it to the Chief Minister's war room. I'm not saying it's a rewarding experience where he'll be paid in millions, but it's not about money always. It's about creating the impact. It's about making a difference. So if he is able to bring in managerial education to save lives of people and to help people, then I think it serves a purpose at one point in time. Alright, there we go. We have a question now. We have a question from Rujuta, and Rujuta says, we need some insights and tips on people management, resource management, or employee management. Well, that's a conversation which can go into hours, because people management is the most trickiest of all managerial assignments, because too many variables are involved when people are involved. Having said that, you have asked a couple of questions there. You need insights on people management, resource management, and employee management, where people and employee predominantly are the same, but resource management may be away from just people or manpower. So let me make an attempt in answering you this. I will not be able to give you a kind of a point by point answer to this, saying, okay, these are the 3 things which you should do, or the 7 things which you should do to handle people well. No, that's not my agenda. But if I have to give you some insights about my experience with handling people and resources, I'll give you a matrix. I'll give you a simple matrix, which is a 4x4 matrix, and that matrix talks about long-term gain versus short-term gain, greater good versus fewer good. I repeat, you have a 4x4 matrix which talks about long-term gain versus short-term gain, greater good versus fewer good. And the solution is simple. If your matrix ticks greater good and long term gain, any of the one, then you should do that in your people management and in your resource management. But if it is showing you short term gain or a fewer good, then you cannot. So the option here is for you to be cognitive about what are you trying to achieve by taking the step. Remember, scenario planning is all about this and that. Scenario planning is all about, if I do this, what might be the seen consequence and unseen consequence? If I don't do this, what may be the seen consequence and the unseen consequence? In simple economic terms, we talk about the opportunity cost. What is that? I have 100 rupees and I want to go and buy a sunglasses. Now if I buy the sunglass and if it does not work, I have lost 100 rupees. I have just not lost 100 rupees, I have lost the opportunity to buy something else in that 100 rupees. That's the opportunity cost. I could have bought a cap, I could have bought a helmet or some shade or an umbrella. So these are the things. So we need to understand that when it comes to resource management. Deepa Suresh, your question is quite a long one there, yeah. Okay, so she asks me, nowadays in the workplace, a few people are promoted as managers because of their long stay in the organization or because of their loyalty to the organization. My question is, does the organization benefit because of this? So the answer to this is going to be very, very simple. It is not something which is textbook, but management is definitely not limited to textbook. The answer is this: if the person is in the organization and if the person deserves to be promoted because of his loyalty, I don't believe that that is the only fact. Because just because somebody is in the organization for 20 years and that shows loyalty, I don't agree. And because I don't agree there, I don't really agree that that person needs to be promoted. Right? But if the person is in the organization for 20 years and he has continuously added value, whatever amount, it may be insignificant amount or a significant amount, but he is adding value, then definitely his loyalty needs to be rewarded. And rewarding can vary. You don't need to make him the CEO or the director of the company, but him or her can be rewarded accordingly. So in your question, you ask one important point. You say, my question is, does the organization benefit because of this? If the value is justified or the value addition is justified and you are going to reward that aspect, then the organization is surely going to benefit, because what example you are quoting to others is, you continue to add value, no matter how much it is, you will be recognized and you will be rewarded. But if you do not add value and you just stay there as a matter of right, then maybe we will have to take a tough call, which is not in your favor nor in ours. Right? So that's the way you can kind of trade it off. All right, so I think those are the two good questions. I really thank Rujuta and Deepa for asking me these questions, and I also thank all of you for logging in, or rather tuning in this morning soon after such an exciting address by the Prime Minister, because that's like one thing which we all look forward these days in the lockdown. But thanks once again for joining. Thank you, Mr. Padala. Thank you, Roots, for giving me this opportunity. And as I said in my last Facebook Live, I would like to repeat, this is a great opportunity and a great initiative initiated by Roots Collegium in connecting with its people, with its stakeholders. I really appreciate, because I am sure not many colleges, not many institutions today are trying to be connected to their stakeholders. Yes, of course, you need to run some classes, you need to do something, that's fine, but then connecting to your stakeholders through this medium of technology is important, and full marks to Roots and the team for doing this. And also, I would like to repeat one more time, there are multiple other opportunities, there are multiple other points which we can discuss about management. I have not done no justice to say that this is a comprehensive class on management education, but what I have done in a very humble way is to raise the curtain on the world of possibilities, a world full of possibilities when it comes to management and management education in the country, in the world. Thank you once again for joining me this morning, and if you have any questions, you can feel free to connect with me separately. I have given you the Facebook link there, and reach out. I'll be more than happy to guide, to support, and to assist all the youngsters in creating a great career for yourselves. Thank you once again.